Today, the BBC published the salaries of its best paid on-screen personalities. It's released the names of the 96 people on more than £150,000 a year and their pay. So we've learned a lot today about the TV labour market. We know that Newsnight's own Evan Davis and Kirsty Walk are both on that list. But there's lots that we don't know. For example, we don't know anything about the wages paid to people via intermediaries. For example, people who have their own production companies. We also don't know what exactly people have done to justify the wages that have been published today. So are they working 7 days or 1 day a week? These salaries are very large. One caller to the £700,000 Jeremy Vine today thought too large.
I can't see how you can justify earning you and the rest of the staff of the BBC can justify picking your paycheck up every week when there are men and women in this country who are working their fingers to the bone, who don't get nowhere near the money you're earning and are on the minimum wage and struggling to live.
I have laid today before Parliament a BBC Charter.
This former Culture Secretary introduced these transparency rules.
There are two things which I think need to be borne in mind. Firstly, that for some people, actually working for the BBC is a privilege and they are willing to accept a bit less than they might elsewhere because it's the BBC. And I think that is right and admirable. Secondly, there comes a point where the BBC, I think, has to say, and it's for them to judge this, but they have to say, OK, if you can command a much higher salary elsewhere or you've been offered it, then good luck, we wish you all the best, but I'm afraid, we simply can't match that.
But does the BBC need to pay those sums to keep its talent from competitors? John Humphreys, the Today programme and Mastermind presenter, earns more than £600,000 a year.
I would have thought it highly unlikely that I would leave the BBC to go somewhere else. Why should I? It's the best job there is.
But that's the thing, it keeps coming back to this. Why are we paying people who want to work at the BBC and can't imagine leaving so much money?
It's an interesting notion, isn't it? That you should only get a lot of money if you dislike the job you're doing.
What is it that you think the BBC thinks is worth the money they spend on you?
I don't know what you mean.
So
what do you mean?
What is it that you think the BBC...
You mean what is my special, unique talent?
What is your special, unique talent?
I don't think I've got one. I mean, I do what I do. I ask people questions that I think, that I hope the public wants answered. And I think I do that reasonably competently.
Gender has emerged as perhaps the most important issue to come out of this list. Around 2/3 of the names on the list are of men. The problem, though, of gender can't be looked at without looking at age. If you look at under 50s on the list, there are actually roughly even numbers of men and women. The problem comes, though, that if you look at the over 50s, there are 45 men on the list and just 11 women. There are 4 times as many men over 50 earning more than £150,000 a year at the BBC than women. The BBC has a woman problem, but it has a particular older woman problem. Agents like Mary Greenham think the BBC is serious about this.
My relationship with the BBC and my workings with the BBC goes back many years, and they are an organisation that do want to get it right. They will get it right. They already have measures in place to get it right, and they will work with other organisations to make sure that in 20 years' time, this isn't a problem and we're just talking about equality.
I think it's a great time for women at the BBC. I think as a result of today, more women will get employed than men. So the message to me, being top talent manager, is get more women on my books, because now's a golden time to get women more jobs at the BBC. So watch out, BBC producer. I'm going to be calling you the more ladies.
These 96 names are not representative. What they get paid is, I promise you, not a normal BBC salary. But the patterns they show up are ones worth paying attention to.